Uh, what happened was we had someone scheduled, and I've been thinking about doing this presentation. And I wanted to look at the impact of the 1994 Olympics, not from the athletic side, but how it impacted Norway and its culture, particularly of sport, and how it's had a lasting impact even since that time. We'll do a little bit of sports stuff, but not too much. So what we have here is the two mascots. This is the guy, yeah, this is Håkon, and he's a famous prince, and then Kristen, and was a famous princess, right? And these are the only two human Olympic mascots. They're always some little cutesy little, hard to describe sometimes. So they've been very famous, and that was unique for these Olympics.
Maybe try the space bar.
Oh, you got it.
So, I gotta get one back. So here's Lillehammer, a ways away from Oslo. It was the first Olympics where they had it in a small location. Usually it's been close to large centers. But they had a lot, this was a very convenient location because it's relative closest to Oslo. And the geography lent itself well to that particular organizing the Olympics. And there's a close-up of the town itself, Lillehammer, and you can see most of the venues, several of the venues were clustered around Lillehammer. And as you'll find out, what's unique about the 1994 Olympics was all of the venues that had been constructed for the Olympics are currently still in use. And as you know, a lot of Olympics, they put up these magnificent structures, and the Olympics are gone, and then they're called they're white elephants. They're not used. So there was quite purposeful with the way they designed the structures and their ability to have multiple uses. There are a couple others that were outside town. This is where the ski event, alpine skiing occurred. This is one of the hockey events, and then this is also down here. So they weren't all clustered quite around the town, but clearly in the same region. So the idea is that due to the planning and the method of location and also the method of construction, the Olympic Games are associated with improvements in not only Lillehammer, but also Norway's sporting fortunes. It put a spark into the Norway sports culture in the country, and also incorporated environmental attitudes in terms of designing and building these structures and performing the games. So all of these venues are all organized in what's called the Olympia Park. And so they have the ski and biathlon stadium, the ski jump area, the hockey arena, bobsleigh, and then there's a location off-site, and it's down in this location, and this is an Olympic cavern. And one of the fascinating things, and I've got a couple of pictures about this, they literally built this whole venue into the mountain. And it was a natural cavern, and they took advantage of this natural cavern and bored their way into the mountain and put this big facility together. Yeah.
That was actually built, the cabin during the war. They used it as a refuge.
Oh.
And they have a swimming pool in there, but they added on to build it up for the Olympics. That's the town I'm from.
Oh.
So we do that quite a few.
Wow. Yeah. Well, so the the swimming pool was already there before they made it for the Olympics.
For a long time, yeah.
Wow.
underneath a mountain shelf, that was a refuge during the war.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's amazing. Well,
And
when
it's
you
still
see,
open, you can go visit it today, it's
oh, I know, well, I wanted to go down, I went to Lillehammer. I got stuck in the hockey arena, but that's another story. But, when I show you these pictures, I've got some good pictures, and it's just fascinating the way they built it right in the cabin anyway. So, we'll go through, what I thought I'd like to do then is go through some of the locations, the venues. This was the first Green Games, and as I mentioned, there was a planning about the construction, this whole planning event, it started several years before the Olympics, also led to the development of elite training facilities for Norwegian athletes. And there are a couple events that we'll talk about, particularly downhill skiing, the alpine skiing, which Norway had not really been very strong in, all of a sudden took a big leap. And the whole idea of forming these Olympics created a big boost for that particular event. So the green goals were ecological questions, regional environmental qualities, and this is really quite unique. No other Olympics had done this. Economic and sustainable growth, architect to the topology of the landscape, and this cavern is a great example of that, and also the quality of environmental life during the games. So the first facility is the ski and biathlon stadium. It hosted cross-country events and biathlon. Everybody know what biathlon is? It's a combination of shooting and cross-country skiing. And then Nordic combined is where they have cross-country and ski jumping. So it had 31,000 seats in this arena. It's the largest that have been built. And it also then had the Paralympics. I wanted to highlight Jorn Dahle. He was a cross-country skier, won 2 gold medals in the '94 Olympics, but he's the world record holder for a number of medals, 29 medals in Olympics and World Championships, and he's quite a legend.
I have to say that he's a very close relative of mine. My third cousin married to this gal, and it was her nephew, so after each gold medal, Bjorn became a closer and closer relative. He was a blood brother by the time he
Charles
came.
related to about half of Norway.
Keep you moving on up, right?
Yeah.
Living in the basement. Here's our ski jumping arena. The famous one is Holmenkollen, which is in Oslo for the 1952 Olympics. But this has overreached it in terms of its size and capability. And so there are 3 ski jumping hills in Norway then. Holmenkollbakken, in Oslo, Grandåsen in Trondheim, and then now the '94 Olympics. And it has ski jumping and then also Nordic combined, which is the ski jumping and cross country. So they have a normal hill, a large hill, and then they've got some practice hills. So the large hill is 449 feet in height. Phenomenal. And then the small hill is 67 feet. Really small. And of course, it's very popular for world events. Is this where the opening ceremony took place? And this is the Olympic flame and the steps that went up to the Olympic flame. And the setting of the ski jump is just spectacular. So if you look, this is how a ski jump works. It starts at the top, and then you've got a steep slope, and you all might have seen them on TV. And then at the bottom, you've got a place where it marks for the ski jumper has to start getting ready to launch. And what they do is they spring off the end of the jump, and that's what gives them the lift to get up in the air. And then when they're in the air, they're basically aerodynamic in the air as they float down onto the landing area. So this length of slope then provides you with speed but it also is, the skill is to launch at the perfect time where you've got maximum speed and maximum lift at the time you approach the bottom of the ski jump. So you can see, and this is a pretty typical design. Well, folks, I'm not so sure I'd really be wanting to go down that one anytime soon. And this is the large hill, and then here it looks over here. So their landing area is, this is the end of the jump, and then this is the landing area down in here.
Wow.
Lenny and I, we actually walked all the way up there, we got vertigo.
Oh, you did?
Well,
The small hill, probably.
No, the big
You
one.
took the large hill?
Yes. It was crazy.
But we walked back down.
Walk down.
It was summertime.
Now, here's the bobsled and luge track. Norway did not have a bobsled or luge track before the Olympics. So the design and construction of the track was really important for Norwegian sports, because now they can host, they held a World Youth Olympics in 2016 as an example. So the track is about 4,474 feet for bobsled, shorter for luge. I got a picture of what the luge looks like if you don't know. It has a vertical drop of about 367 feet. So you drop 367 feet all through these twisting turns, and you can achieve about 93 miles an hour on a 4-man bobsled. 93 miles an hour. This is the start for the bobsled, and then 4-man bobsled, and this is for the luge and 2-man bobsled. You can see the design of the track, and it's all artificially cooled to maintain temperature, different air temperatures. So this is a 1910 4-man bobsled.
Oh my God.
How'd you like to be peeling down there about 90 miles an hour? So here we've got a 4-man bobsled starting. You might have seen this on TV, and then here's a 4-man bobsled on the way. 2-man bobsled, and then this is a 1-man luge, and then a 2-man luge. And that is absolutely insane. The track is built to limit their speed to 81 miles an hour. Yeah.
In the summer, part of the bobsled, they have thing with wheels on, you can go on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At least had it a few years ago, my son went down it.
Make you wear a helmet.
I don't think it's the whole thing, but it's part of it that you go
Wow,
on it.
that would be cool.
Well, the feet first is luge, but which one is the head first?
That's skeleton.
I never.
No.
I do it feet first.
That's what we used to do when we were kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I've learned.
So this is the hockey hall. It's a large, and what's great about this place in particular is they have they have multiple events taking place at different times. So they have handball, which is a sport predominantly in Europe. You might have seen on Olympics where they carry the ball, and they throw it and score it a goal and so forth. And it's indoors. They also have concerts, exhibitions, conferences, and banquets in this hall. So it's multi-purpose, and that was the intention when they designed it. It now is part of the Olympia Park, and the Norwegian Olympic Museum is located near the area. So, oh yes, I had to mention, Sweden won the gold medal that year. They beat Russia. This is the first time that Russia was able to compete on its own. Then they had the other satellite countries compete as well. In fact, Slovakia won a couple of years ago. So Sweden won. They always have a good team. The Finnish team is terrific too, and I'll come back to that in a second. So Sylvie and I were over, and I said, I gotta go to Lillehammer. And I didn't walk up the ski jump, but I did stop by the hockey hall, and there was a group of guys coming in, and they're getting ready to play hockey. So I stopped and talked to them, and I said, well, look, you know, I got some credibility here. Maybe you could take a guy and give me a couple of skates and a stick, and you know, I can afford to lose some more teeth, and we'll give it a shot. Well, they said no. And that was the first time I was disappointed. The second time I was disappointed was we had a foreign exchange student come over, and he was one of the best players in Finland, went back and became a famous hockey player in Finland. So he called me, he was probably having some red wine somewhere, and he called me up. He says, Mike, he says, this is the World Over 65 Hockey Championship in Helsinki. He says, I want you to come. And I said, Yuha, you know, I skated a couple times last year, and you know, oh no, he said, we don't want you to play. We want you to be the team doctor. Yuha, I'm a pediatrician, you know that. I mean, I can't take care of you guys. Oh, I says, oh, don't worry about this. The doctor's in charge of the beer, and you're the perfect guy for the job. I didn't go. But that is a true story.
Oh, you missed a good opportunity.
Yeah, maybe that was a good thing. Well, here's the structure that we're talking about with Randy.
Yeah.
And I've got a better cutaway to show you what happened. But basically, they bored into the cavern and constructed the hockey rink, and then they put a new pool in. And it was built for the Olympics. It hosted 16 hockey matches. And it was carved out of a stone called gneiss. It was a type of rock that's well known for construction of underground facilities. And here's the entrance here. You can see the rock roof, and then the bore that went in. And this is how deep it was. This is the top of the mountain. So 390 feet from the top of the mountain down to the bottom of the cavern hall itself. And this is a really fascinating cutaway. So this is cut into the cavern. I can't imagine how big it was. It must have been huge, huh? And so basically they bored in, and then they expanded the walls of the cavern. And then here's the swimming pool. Here's the hockey rink here. This is all in the mountain, and have events and so forth, which is really fascinating. And it's very popular and an amazing feat of engineering. Well, a little bit of sports here. Norway advertises itself as the world capital of sports, but it hasn't always had success in Olympic Games. And they've been sort of on a roller coaster, up and down, doing well one games, not so well the other games. They have, ski jumping was actually invented in Norway, and they hadn't had any medals of any kind, in several other events. So the '94 Olympics was an opportunity for Norway to really spark the interest in some of these Olympic events, particularly downhill skiing and so forth. 1952, Oslo played host, but it didn't have the same impact that '94 Olympics had on Norwegian culture and sports culture. After 1952, Norwegians only totaled 22 medals in 9 Winter Games, which is really amazing to think about. And in '88, in Calgary, they only had 4 medals, which is really a disappointment. And in the run-up to the '94 Games, success started to come because they were starting to increase training facilities and generate more interest in Olympic sports in particular, more than just cross-country skiing. And so, lo and behold, 2 alpine skiers won gold for the first time. And they swept all the cross-country events. So this was a signal that Norwegian sports was on the rise, and the '94 Olympics was the motivator for this. So it was an extraordinary success for Norway. They won 26 medals. Now, Russia won 11 gold, and Norway won 10 gold, so technically they put Russia ahead. But because of the gold medal count, that's how sometimes they set that. But in reality, Norway won the most medals in the whole event. And then 2018, they won 39 medals. And this is all because of the generation of interest of these sports in Norwegian culture, and it really lit a spark. Just a couple highlights. This is Johan Olav Koss. Koss the Boss was his nickname, and he won 3 speed skating events. He had a world record in each one. And then Norway dominated the alpine skiing events. And remember, back in the earlier days, alpine skiing, there was no interest in it. It was ignored. So let's take a look at the alpine skiing success story. These are the attacking Vikings, they're called. And this is a picture of Kjetil Andre Åmo. Anyway, they swept the downhill ski event, first, second, and third. Lasse Schuss came in first. Åmo was second, and Christian Strand Nielsen came in third, I believe. So this was an amazing turnaround in Norwegian sports history, and now they've got one of the strongest representation in alpine skiing, and they're still called the attacking Vikings. And as you know, in Olympic downhill skiing, it's usually the Austrians and the French, and all the alpine countries have the major events. And Norway now has moved forward in alpine skiing in particular. So what's important is the legacy is important for Norway's athletes and its culture of sport. And it all started with the '94 Olympics, and it's continued on today. And it's also had an impact on the International Olympic Committee and how winter Olympics are organized, with the idea of important to take into account environmental concerns and also sustainability. And we don't want any white elephants anymore. We want to make sure that the people in the country or locations where these take place are able to use the facility. So, not only in its local, but also worldwide, it's a cultural capital, the legacy of the Olympic Games, and it's a function for environment and sustainability for the Olympics. So it's not just an impact on Norway and its culture of sport, but also worldwide in terms of how the Winter Olympics are conducted moving forward. So that's sort of the legacy of the Lillehammer Olympics. It's not just the sports, but it's also in a larger sense how it's impacted the world and world sport itself. So that's legacy of the